Let me start by commending the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for his timely submission of the budget as desired by the Senate. Mr. President, I equally want to thank you for drawing up a timetable that will make us revert to a budget cycle of January-December, which is ideal for the implementation of our programs and policies. Mr. President, the 2020 budget presents an opportunity for us to rise up to the challenge of being properly called senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It means that we must brace up to the challenge of effectively representing our people by bringing out a budget that is in tune with the reality of our times and the challenges facing us as a nation. But, Mr. President, I must state here that beyond that, we have a huge challenge before us. If you go by the proposals in the 2020 budget, the signs are not very good. Mr. President, from what we know now, the budget allocation for Works Ministry is about 157 billion naira. Mr. President, as I'm talking to you now, Ministry of Works has unpaid certificates of over 300 billion naira. Mr. President, it takes about 125 million naira to construct a road in this country today. And so if you look at that provision, therefore, vis-a-vis what is required of the Ministry of Works, Mr. President, I think it's just a drop in the ocean. Mr. President, our security presents a very serious challenge to us as a nation today. Mr. President, going by the proposals in the 2020 budget, I think we need a serious re-examination and rethinking, especially given the challenge of insecurity that faces us today. Mr. President, it takes the Air Force or the Army, for instance, 3 months to import equipment to replace even broken down ones. Yet, for the whole of 2019, Mr. President, no capital allocation was released to our security agencies, especially the Army and the Air Force. In that regard, Mr. President, depending only on operational expenditure is certainly not good for us if we want to lay a foundation that can contain and secure this country for us from insurgents. Mr. President, I think that what we require in that regard, coupled with other deficient budget proposals that I have identified here, like in education, Mr. President, this year, our allocation to education is just 0.5% of the total budget. And against the backdrop of the UNESCO requirement of 26%, Mr. President, I think we need a lot of thinking in funding our education. Mr. President, as I'm talking to you, right now, Nigeria has 43 federal universities, 104 federal polytechnics. And so if we take it like that, Mr. President, it means that we have not yet started addressing the problem of education in this country. Well, Mr. President, I am told that I have only 1 minute, but I want to summarize this, that if we have to implement a budget that is realistic and addresses the problem of this country, then we need to rejig this budget. But, Mr. President, we need to re-engineer our policy trust. Otherwise, we may not make the difference that we have promised to make in the beginning. Mr. President, don't forget, you are aware as well as I am, that irrespective of party platform, our people elected us here to give them good government, to be able to deliver the dividends of democracy at their doorsteps. They did not vote for us for failure in this place. And therefore, Mr. President, we must summon the courage to give out a budget bill that Mr. President will sign into an act that will address the basic problems that this country faces today. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, distinguished